EAVE is one of the leading training and networking programs in Europe. We offer workshops for mainly producers but also other industry professionals. Our flagship program that we've been running for almost 30 years now is the EAVE Producers Workshop that gathers over 50 producers every year from Europe and the rest of the world.
EAVE is not just like any other training for producers. I think it's a training that allows you to go deeper into your inner motivation, why you want to work in the cinema sector, and pushes you to a reality check.
Well, we meet a lot of great experts, and they really take their time to talk with us on the single project. It's really great to have them here, like kind of captured in a hotel, and you can approach them all the time and have sessions with them.
I think that at the end of the workshop, every participant knows what kind of producer they are, what kind of films they want to produce, and how to get there.
Many producers see the digital age as a threat, and at EAVE we're trying to assess this more as an opportunity for them to get adapted to the changes and the new ways to connect with the audience.
The very important aspect also of what we could share with the participant in those sessions is how you can think international at a very early stage.
I'm using this opportunity to develop as an industry professional, as a producer, and also to develop my company as a business. And so far I must say that EAVE effect kicked in.
I would suggest it also to documentary producer like myself, who has mainly a background in documentaries, because this really helps them think a little bit more outside of the box.
EAVE has been in a leadership position of training, the focus on the importance of digital distribution, and is continually pushing the envelope. You know, EAVE stayed one step ahead of what is going on in the industry.
You feel actually you're not alone. You're sharing the same vision, the same obstacles, and the same dreams.
At EAVE we try also to focus on running a business. We think that producers are not only people who produce films, but we are entrepreneurs who have to run a company, and preferably a sustainable company. So we are thinking together with them where they want to be in 5 years and how their business can grow and stay sustainable.
I feel, and my partners in the company also feel, that we've profited tremendously from this time, and I do feel that this will elevate our company to the next level.
Talking about concrete results, over 35% of projects developed at EAVE are successfully realized. 55% of them get an international sales agent on board, and 25% of them have a successful international festival career.
Film is a personal business. The network is best practice. It's how we finance and make our films. And this network is invaluable.
That's it. Thank you.
So, EAVE is actually one of the oldest training programs in audiovisual industry in Europe. We're actually older than the media program. We will be 30 years old next year. And it started as one program called Producers Workshop. Nowadays we have a family of programs. I'm just mentioning them because, you know, normally when people say EAVE, they mean the Producers Workshop. It's still the main program. But just so you know that we also have marketing workshop. We have EAVE Plus, which is more about company management and leadership skills. And then we have a couple of programs with other continents, Puentes with Latin America and Tested Bind with Asia. But I will really now focus on the EAVE Producers Workshop. So first of all, it needs to be said that it is a professional training, so it's not like something that people would attend like right after film school. Normally, the people who apply to EAVE and are selected, they are already sort of established in their own country as professional producers. We don't have any exact regulation, if you look at our website, what you must have done. But nowadays, in practice, most of the participants have already produced a feature film. You don't have to have produced a feature film. You might have done a lot of other things, but you need to be established as a professional. Very often the people, when they come, they are sort of taking some kind of a next step. Very often it is that they have been producing in their own country and they would like to step into international co-productions. Or maybe they have worked in a bigger company as a junior producer and they are starting their own company. Or maybe they have produced documentaries and they are stepping into fiction. There's some kind of a change normally happening in their lives. Most of the participants are producers, but we also accept other industry professionals, specifically people who need to get a deeper insight into the reality of producers. That means normally people working in film funds or sales agents or lawyers, but we are open for anybody who has a good motivation to consider it. We don't take many of those per year, but a few. The producers normally come with a project. You can come with or without, and the project can be not only fiction but also documentary or new media, and now we are even opening up for TV series with the slight remark that we don't have the specific know-how about that, so they will be basically treated the same way. Some producers also come without the project. It could be there could be different reasons. Sometimes people ask, why would I come without a project? And I've asked the participants who did it like that, and they very often say that if you come with a project, you're very much focusing on developing your own project. But if you come without, you can really focus on thinking about all the matters and methods and skills on a more sort of detached level, which might be helpful. It depends a bit where you stand. The idea is really, when it says here professionalization, we really think that what we try to deliver is more general skills and methods that apply to anything. So even when you come with a project, for us, it's more like a tool. So we do care about your project, but for instance, in the selection, we select the person, not the project. And the idea is that while you are working on that project, we can help you develop your skills and ways and methods and strategies, and also to help you maybe realize what is the way to work in a sustainable way, so that you don't just work on a project, because that's very often, especially with young filmmakers, it is like such a passion just to get this film done. And there's no thought about what then. Does my company survive? How do I get the new projects funded? So people don't even think about slates and stuff. So this is basically what we are trying to do. If you ask anybody who has done EAVE what is the best benefit, they will all tell you that it's the network. With the other participants, also of course with the experts and decision makers, who I will tell you a bit more a bit later. But really, because in the course of the year, I will also explain you the structure of the year. You spend so much time with all these other peers from other countries that you get very close, and you also discuss quite a lot of sort of intimate, professionally intimate things, meaning like your doubts and fears and failures, that it builds that kind of trust that after that year, it's really like you feel that you have this incredible network where you can trust the other people. Content-wise, it's of course a lot about co-financing, co-producing, not only in EU actually, because we have more and more participants also from other continents. We have a limit which is defined by Creative Europe, that we can only have maximum 20% from outside of media countries, but we do have nowadays from every continent some participants, so that's also very exciting also for the Europeans. So the practical organization of the program is that it takes place over almost a year. There are 3 workshops, each of them is 1 week. The first one is in March, second is in June, and third one is in October. And between the workshops there's also a lot of work to be done, and also online tutoring and feedback. So normally when people ask me what they should consider when they want to apply, one thing is really to consider that it's a year when you are not too busy, because you will not benefit of it if you don't have the time to do all the work. So I would say besides the 3 weeks, you should count on at least another 3 weeks on work being done between the workshops. Actually, one participant, a graduate who once heard me say this, said actually it's more like 6 weeks between the 3 weeks, but I think it depends also a little bit how quick a reader you are and so on. We select every year 52 participants nowadays. They are divided into 4 groups, so that means 13 persons per group. Every group is being led by an experienced producer. The idea of the group work is really sharing and learning from each other. So the group leader is there to sort of to guide the group, but it's not like he or she would be a teacher. It's more like to give structure to the group work and maybe guide a little bit, you know, where the conversation goes, but it's really about sharing. About 2/3 of each workshop is spent in group work, and what happens there is everybody's project is being discussed, everybody's company is being discussed, whatever, you know, doubts, fears, question marks you have can be discussed. And exactly for that reason there's so much work between the workshops, because you are not only working on your own project, but about 3 weeks before the workshop you will get all the material from all the other projects in your group, and you have to really read them on that level that you will be able to discuss them in depth. The ones who come without a project choose at the first workshop one of the other projects in the group, and they shadow that project throughout the year. So normally it would be then a project that is close to what you are working with as well. And that means that they will go to every individual meeting and everything together with that project. Of course, sometimes it even ends up in co-production, but it doesn't have to be the case. Besides the group work, there are, like I already mentioned, individual meetings with all the tutors, and on top of that, plenary sessions, which are basically touching anything and everything that has to do developing a film, starting from financing, marketing, legal issues, pitching, you name it. I will not give you the whole list, you can imagine. If you come with a project, we encourage you strongly to bring your scriptwriter to workshops 1 and 2, because at those workshops there are a lot of meetings with script consultants, plus the script is being discussed in the group. So it's of course much more useful if the scriptwriter is there. Also, another thing that we are actually trying to see is a little bit how you work with your scriptwriter, and if we can somehow help you with that, because sometimes it seems that the producer and the writer are working together, but they're actually pulling it to different directions, and it could be actually just sort of a structural problem that you can work on. The third workshop, the scriptwriters are no longer welcome. It takes a little bit a different format. So the first half of the week is again group work and plenary sessions. And the second half of the week we invite decision makers. We normally get nowadays about 70 of them. They are funders, sales agents, TV commissioners, aggregators, different people from the market. And this is basically sort of the end of the year where you have been developing your film and now you're presenting it to the outside world. It looks like a co-production market. It's not a co-production market. All the people who come there, they know that this is a training. So they are actually much more open because they know that they are not expected to make deals and so on. But actually from their point of view, they are there because they want to discover all the upcoming producers, companies, projects. You know, they need the content as well. They need to be on top of knowing who is coming. And for that reason, we have very long meeting slots, 45 minutes, so that it allows you time not only to pitch your project, but also just to have a conversation, tell about your company, also ask about their company, how do they work, how should they be approached later on with different projects and so on. And just to create a contact. So that's very helpful. Of course, some also deals come out of that situation sometimes, but that's not the main goal. The main goal is that after that you know them so that you can contact them again in 2 years, like for a meeting in Berlin, and it's much easier when they know who you are. So once the year comes to an end, it's not the end, then you have your network of the participants, the experts, also the decision makers, and after that you're part of the EAVE network. And within that network, what we try to do is several things. First of all, of course, we are organizing a lot of get-together events where we try to matchmake also participants from different years so that they know each other. Also, we try to promote everybody. That's getting harder and harder because we have already more than 2,000 graduates. So But as long as they are keeping us posted, we are really promoting in our newsletters, on Facebook and so on, everything that happens, like if you sell your film all over the world or you get to an EAVE festival. It's not only about the projects that you came with, but it's any project you're doing. So we are promoting you. Then we have a lot of partnerships with different festivals and co-production markets where, first of all, we are trying to matchmake a bit so that the right people and right projects go to the right places, but also to get a little bit beneficial conditions for our producers. So for instance, with some co-production markets, we have a deal that they will take like 3 EAVE producers and waive the fee or something. It depends on the case. Well, I'm not going to go into any details, but there are some numbers from this year. So normally it is our goal in the selection to try to sort of identify who are the producers we believe that will be strong producers. And I think the success stories show that result. I'm not saying that it's because they did EAVE, but maybe because we found the right people. But a lot of big EAVE Festival awards are for films that have been produced by producers who did EAVE ones. Maybe a little bit about the last percentage on this slide, because it doesn't explain itself. So the networking effect, this means that 50% of people who did EAVE are co-producing with other EAVE graduates. About the selection process, so the application deadline, next application deadline will be in the end of August next year. We have quite a long selection process. We get normally about 200 applications, and we can take 50, so it's about 25% who get in. We do first a pre-selection based on the applications alone, and there we try to cut it down to about 100. Then we do selection interviews with the other 100. That means having half an hour chat on Skype with our head of studies, who is then trying to understand even better than what is in the application, who you are, where you stand in your career, is this the right moment, what is your motivation? Because we also see that if people come at the wrong moment, it's actually not good for them. A lot of people say that, oh, I applied 4 times and first I was so disappointed, but in the end I know that if I had come 4 years ago, it wouldn't have been so good. So we are trying to, of course, we are also human and make mistakes, but we are trying to make sure not to take people, for instance, too early. So the selection interviews take time from early October until early December, because our head of studies is also a producer, so he also has other things to do. And then we have the selection meeting in December, and then we normally inform people about a week before Christmas if they were selected or not. I'm just mentioning, I mean, the 2018 selection is now done, but I'm just mentioning, just so you know, that the workshops, they travel. So the first workshop is every year in Luxembourg, because we are based in Luxembourg and we are co-funded by Film Fund Luxembourg. But the second and the third, they travel from country to country in different European countries, depending on where we have financing partners. So just as an example, next year will be in June in Stavanger in Norway and in October in Santiago de Compostela in Spain. About the fees, there is a participation fee for the whole year, which is 3,000 if you come with a project, 2,000 if you come without. Then there are accommodation fees for all the workshops, which are to cover the hotel and meals and so on. We do have scholarships. They are somewhat limited in who we can give them to. I know that at the moment in the UK, the problem is that you don't really have support for training. We have at the moment 1 scholarship for 1 UK participant, because we have teamed up with PACT. So it's partly from us and partly from PACT. And it's in the memory of one of our previous experts who passed away. And we hope that that will continue. But other than that, the other scholarships we have available are not, we cannot give them to UK, because, you know, there are countries with like no structure in the industry and, you know, super low monthly salaries and all that. So I really hope that we can keep this one at least. Oh, I will mention actually one more thing. I mentioned the other programs earlier, but what we do more and more now is also what we call EAVE on demand. And that's a tailor-made workshop. Basically, the content could be anything. I mean, we always do something for producers, but it could be also producer, writer, director pairs. So normally it is like an organization, could be a festival or a media desk or regional fund or whoever, or producers association, who approaches us and says that in our country or in our region, our producers lack this and this specific skill, could we do a workshop on that? Or they want really like project development workshops. It can be anything from half a day to 3 weeks or whatever. So basically we just try to understand the need, and then we create the workshop, and the partner actually takes care of the fundraising. So that's what we do, man. Bon. That's it in a nutshell. I guess we can continue then in the panel later on, and I give it to Jacobine.